Nice. Is that a little trophy right there?
It is. That's coming up later in the show. You're
Oh,
probably
okay.
going to win it.
Oh, wow, rude.
Probably what?
You're probably going to win it.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. So we're recording right now, man. So
Okay.
what's going on, Jason? How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. How about you guys? Thanks for having me.
We're doing all right. I was looking forward to this podcast. You come highly
same
recommended
here.
by a couple of people. So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was like,
Can I ask who or not?
Stephanie Lamb was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, she spoke highly of you
She's
when she
awesome.
was on the show.
I mean, she gushed over you, and I hope I don't make you blush or anything, but
I'm already sunburnt, so you can't tell.
She spent several minutes just talking about Jason Adamo and what an amazing musician he is, and I'm like,
that's sweet.
all right, we got to listen to Jason Adamo. So
That's awesome.
she was not wrong, sir. You've got a hell of a voice on you.
Oh, thank you. She's great. She's got a hell of a voice in her too, and I've had her on my radio show once in the studio, and I've seen her play, and we've shared a show a couple times. She's awesome.
Yeah, I just bought tickets to go see her at the Lincoln Theater at the end of the month, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I've actually.
I just played there last week. It's pretty interesting to play the Lincoln nowadays.
Oh, you did? You played it last week, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we opened up for the Breakfast Club, and it was tables, not table service, but like bar top set up 6 feet apart, people wearing masks when they're not drinking and stuff, and it was interesting. It was a seated show you guys know the Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah, it's like an '80s band, right? Like '80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy seeing people like dancing in their seats. A few people got up and started rocking out, but it was so strange, and it was just Doug and I, my lead guitar player, not the whole band, opening up for them. So that was crazy in itself, but it was fun. It was good to be back on that stage after like a year and some change of it not having any shows.
Yeah. So the Breakfast Club, I actually saw them at the Lincoln Theater. I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And our joke was every time they play, we all dress up in '80s,
Oh, nice.
and stuff. So I would dress up as the White Mr. T.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, I saw a few people dressed up the other night, getting into it. I love seeing that.
It is kind of a weird dynamic, though. How are you supposed to like rock out and dance if it's all tables? Kind of crazy.
I had to get up early the next morning. I have a 4-month-old at home, so I watched the first 4 or 5 songs of their set, and towards the end right before I left, people were starting to get up a little bit as the alcohol started flowing. People were getting on kind of like on the side next to the wall. People started dancing. I'm sure at the end of the night it was pretty crazy.
When the music starts moving you, you find a way,
Yeah, you can't not dance to like Walking on Sunshine and all these great 80s classic hits.
Just be mindful of your distancing, I feel like you can get up and dance.
Right.
Just make sure you're 6 feet away from the next person who wants to rock out.
Right, unless you're there you're dancing next to somebody you know. I think that's what was the case the other night. But it was fun. It was great to see them play again.
It gives a whole new meaning to table dancing.
Yeah.
Laura, you can give me a table dance.
My lead guitar player, Doug Castine, he thought about doing so we played Purple Rain, and he thought about doing his solo like on top of a table that was in the front row, but he thought better about that.
Why not? I'm confused as to why it didn't happen.
Well, knowing Doug, he would probably fall and hurt himself and break his guitar or something.
I sympathize.
Comedy.
I do get that.
All right. Well, hey, Jason, man, so thanks for being on the show again.
Yeah.
So, you are very popular as far as playing here in the Raleigh area. I think it was it Carrie Magazine voted you, best entertainer, local performer a couple years ago, or?
Ooh.
Yeah, just this past January, best local musical artist, which was pretty awesome. And I really appreciate that. I've been kicking it around here for many years, so it's cool to get that acknowledgement. Yeah.
So that was in 2020.
That was January 2021.
Oh, okay. So cool.
Yeah, just just a few months ago. Yeah, it was cool. We did a photo shoot for them. They put us in the magazine and all that. And
Wow.
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate
that's-
that. And we did a little interview with them and gave a brief history about the band. It was cool.
Well, tell us about you, Jason. I mean, a lot of people probably don't know who you are. Like, tell us like where you're from, what brought you to North Carolina, and what you got going on.
Sure. My parents were from Brooklyn and Queens, New York, and but they moved to Southwest Virginia, in Blacksburg, Virginia, where Virginia Tech is, before I was born. But I always, I grew up in Blacksburg, but I always wanted to move back up to New York to try music as soon as I got the balls to do it, really.
Yeah.
I think when I was 22, I moved back up there. Sorry, I'm getting a little install notification. Doing this on a computer is strange. But no, I moved up there in probably the year 2000, and I worked at my uncle's jazz studio in Brooklyn. And I was only supposed to be there for an internship for a summer, and I ended up staying there for 3 years and started getting my musical roots going there. And I played in the subways of New York to make money, and started playing in all the venues I could up in New York. And in 2003, my ex-girlfriend and I, who I was living with at the time, we had a plan to move out to LA because she was a dancer and I was a musician, and we wanted to try a different city to do those. To try to do our thing in the arts. And my brother Chris, my oldest brother, I'm one of 5. He got a job teaching in Raleigh.
Where do you
rank
he said, in 5?
I'm the baby. I'm the brat of the 5. The oldest is a sister, and I have 3 older brothers. And when Chris made an offer, he said, "Come down to Raleigh and live with me rent free, and save up some money to move to LA." I said, I can't pass up on that offer. Plus, our other brother, Greg, was living in Chapel, I think Durham at the time. And that was also supposed to be like a 3-month stint in Raleigh. And then I started getting on 96 Rock, which is no longer there, but and a couple other local TV shows and radio stations started playing my music. And I was like, man, I could probably see me, trying to build a fan base down here in Raleigh. And the ex and I broke up, and I made a go of it here in Raleigh back in 2003. Besides about 2.5, 3 years in Nashville, Raleigh's been my home since 2003.
So in 2003, you were already on the radio waves. You were already having your music being played, or?
Yeah, I kind of lucked out. For locals only on 96 Rock, started playing my music, and I got on a couple of local TV shows. Just promoting my stuff, I've always been a pretty good self-promoter of my stuff and kind of bothering people until they listen to my music, And I started doing that. I was doing that in New York City. Nobody would listen. And I started doing it in Raleigh, and a few people started listening, which was cool.
Well, let's hear your elevator pitch.
My elevator pitch?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I have a guitar. Can I sing for you? And I would do that. I used to do that just to try to get gigs. I would literally go bar to bar up in New York City and say, "Hey, can I sing you a song?" And it worked like maybe 2 out of 100 places. But yeah, for as far as promoting myself, I would always put out my own little CDs and promote my own shows, like at the Poorhouse in Raleigh and Lincoln Theater, and wherever I could play my original music. I was putting up flyers all over the town. And back in the day when internet first started coming out, message boards and MySpace back in the day, just bothering the hell. I think I was one of the reasons they stopped having musicians have MySpace pages, because I was always bothering people to listen to my music. But yeah, Raleigh's been really, really good to me. I ended up meeting the guys in my band, the Jason Adamo band, in 2009. And for the most part, we've been together ever since.
Oh, so you got some notoriety for being a songwriter. You actually have, it was one of Brett Young's songs off of a record that went platinum, Beautiful Believer. You actually wrote that song.
Yeah, I wrote that with Brett in Nashville when I was living there. Kind of lucked out there because I was kind of hanging out in LA in 2011 because we had a record coming out in 2012 called Bricks and Mortar. And I went out there for the whole month of October looking for management and a publicist to help us put out the record and put together a tour. And while I was there, I was introduced to Brett at one of his shows. We kind of hit it off. He got me up there to sing. He's kind of also like the blue-eyed soul kind of singer, and we became fast friends. And then fast forward to 2013, I moved to Nashville, and a few months later, Brett moved there. And whenever you're in a strange city for the first time, you reach out to people already, if people live there. And he as soon as I think the day he moved there, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got a gig I want you to come play on." And Doug and I met up with him at a gig, and then from there we kind of rekindled our friendship. And I'm not sure how much time you guys have spent in Nashville, but it involves a lot of drinking. And
Man, I've never been. I want to go.
You guys got to go.
Yeah.
There's especially amongst the songwriters, the camaraderie of throwing back a few Jamesons one night and the next day writing a song about the night before. That's how it usually goes down.
Yeah.
And after a bunch of straight up partying with Brett, and knocking back some whiskeys, we started talking about eventually writing songs together, because that's what you do in Nashville. And just so happened to be he was invited to a #1 party for the song Whatever She's Got, David Nail. He put that out in 2014, I think. And in Nashville, especially when, I don't know if you guys know, but most of the country artists out there, they don't write their own stuff. Brett is an exception. He co-writes all of his songs, but most other artists get like 3 or 4 songwriters to write songs for them, and then they pick amongst the songs that are submitted. And when the writer gets a #1 hit, the publishing company then throws them a #1 party. And Brett and I were at this #1 party for David Nail for Whatever She's Got, and the songwriter who wrote that song, one of 2 songwriters, a guy named John Knight, got up there and gave a speech about being a songwriter and being broke as hell, and wanting to quit the industry over and over again. And his wife was in the audience, and his daughter, and he pointed to them and said that, my wife was the believer in me. She was my beautiful believer. She told me to never give up, and one day I'm going to be a #1 songwriter, or a #1 hit songwriter. And sure enough, 16 years later, he started getting some cuts and #1 hits. And when he thanked his wife and told his little story about his move to Nashville and his wife believing in him like she did, Brett and I kind of looked at each other, and we already had a songwriting session set up for the next day. We said, well, let's write this guy's story based on what he said in his speech, and we called it Beautiful Believer. Fast forward to about 6 months later, Brett signed a record deal, and he texted me and said, Beautiful Believer's going on the record. And then that record just kind of blew up, and Brett blew up, and it's been really a blessing in my life for sure. And it opened up some doors for me in the songwriting realm. And, actually his fan club, they call themselves Beautiful Believers, which is kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
That record spawned about 4 #1 hits. Beautiful Believer was not one of the singles, but it was on that record that got me a gold plaque and a platinum plaque for being a songwriter on that album. So that was really cool.
I'm sure you've got that plaque displayed prominently in your home.
I do. Yeah, I have it up in my little studio. I have a little studio where I record my demos, and actually I just got a plaque for that Carrie Magazine award that I got. So I have that up there, and a couple of records and some of my own records and in frames and stuff in my little wall.
That would personally be on my foyer, like welcoming people into my home. And look at how wonderful I am, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Well, we actually did it. We just moved in October, and it used to be the platinum one was in our living room.
Absolutely.
We had a guitar hanging on the wall on one side and the record on the other side. But I
would have it.
I wanted to dress up my studio a little bit. What's that?
I said I would have it epoxy coated on the front door as people are walking up to your door. There it is, right there. First thing you see. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm very proud of it. It's something that, when I got it, I made a little post on Instagram saying I wish I could tell the 13-year-old Jason that, one day it will get me a gold and platinum record if I stick to writing these little songs that I was writing even way back then. It's kind of cool.
So let's talk about 13-year-old Jason. Was this around the time you started, I guess, recognizing that you had, a talent or like a passion? And who are your major musical influences?
Well, 13-year-old Jason was just writing really terrible songs. It started off as poetry, even when I was younger than 13. But at 13, I kind of stole my dad's guitar that was collecting dust underneath his bed in an old case, and inside the case it had an old Bob Dylan songbook, and I kind of taught myself how to play 3 or 4 or 5 chords based on that book. And I started putting these little poems to guitar chords and melodies that I would come up with. And I think a couple years later, I wrote one song that I was proud enough to perform at my high school in front of all my peers, which was cool. We did this thing called Comedy Night Live, which was like Saturday Night Live, but it was in a high school. I was actually a cast member who thought I was hilarious, and then as a cast member, I also sold myself with my elevator pitch, saying, "Hey, I got a band, and we'd love to be the musical guest." And I sang a song on, "This song is not for you, for all the things you wouldn't do," and it was terrible. But the fact that I finally got the courage to get up there and sing it in front of all my friends was pretty cool for me.
So I guess
from there,
had an interest and a passion and a talent in acting and performing at that point. Did you do theater in high school?
I actually did. Yeah, I did. Because in 8th grade, I was walking down the hall with my buddies. We all thought we could sort of sing. Like back then, we were singing like Boys to Men and whatnot. And the choir teacher literally walks out of her choir room. I guess she saw us walking down the hall. She said, "Can any of you guys sing?" We were like, "Oh, we can all sing," but we weren't that good. But they were putting on a production of Grease, and they didn't have any boys in the choir that could sing. So I ended up being Danny Zuko, and my buddies in the hallway were the T-Birds in Grease, and that kind of started the whole being on stage, singing in front of people, which I kind of got addicted to like right away. In high school, I went, kind of went back to sports, and then I guess my sophomore year, I decided to audition for one of the plays, and I got a part and all that crap. So I started getting back into it.
What was your sport in high school, man?
Soccer.
Soccer?
My brothers and I, we all grew up playing soccer. My brothers, let's just say my sister and I can sing, and the rest of my family are really good at sports. My two of my brothers were like the captain of the high school soccer team, and they went on to play in college and stuff. And I kind of went the other way. Picked up a guitar and started playing songs and playing in talent shows and spring festivals and stuff.
So where did you go to high school at? Because I know when I was in high school, soccer wasn't even offered. We didn't even have a soccer team.
My brother, actually, my oldest brother, Chris, he and his buddies kind of paved the way for Blacksburg. It was Blacksburg High School in Virginia.
Okay. And
they actually came to prominence in the 90s. And actually since then, they've won a lot of state championships and stuff, which is kind of cool because Southwest Virginia is not really known for, soccer as well. But Blacksburg, for one reason or another, they have a very talented soccer team all these years.
Yeah, I couldn't kick a soccer ball for nothing right now. I'd probably tear my knee up or something.
I just want to point out,
I can't do it anymore.
All I want to talk about is Jason's early theater career and how that developed him into the performer that he is now. And you're like, what sport did you play, man?
I mean, I gotta know. Well, I do want to hear Jason sing a little, you gotta wake up,
And that's what I wanted to talk about. What a difficult,
summer loving, had me a blast.
Performance.
Oh, hey, look, he just did it. Do it again, Jason.
Oh, well, tell me more, like did she? I can't remember the words.
You still got it.
But yeah. It was funny because all the T-Birds had hit puberty and I hadn't yet. So I was like, summer loving, had me a blast.
So you got the falsetto going back there?
Yeah. But no, so the theater actually that I did in high school wasn't really musical. It was, I got the acting bug and I started doing more like comedic roles and stuff, but that kind of died out as soon as I graduated high school and I just kept on with the music.
Yeah. So did you, were you like the class clown? Did you always have like a funny personality or something like that? Or
I tried to be. I was probably annoying as hell, but
yeah.
I thought I was hilarious. I still think I'm hilarious, but my wife would beg to differ.
I was going to say, are you the only one that thinks you're hilarious?
I feel like that's the only thing that matters.
I mean, that's the way I am. I know I'm hilarious. Right. Nobody else seems to think that. So
my 3 brothers and I, we definitely have like our own shtick amongst the brothers and my sister too. But
Yeah.
once we get out of the family zone, it's kind of, people are like, you guys are kind of weird, aren't you? But
But I feel like
I
my
always thought it was
sister and I are
hilarious.
the same way. When we're in a car together, we think we are hysterical. Like we'll just be crying as we're driving somewhere and hyperventilating, and we're like, people need to hear how funny we are, and then we're like, no, nobody needs to hear how funny we think we are.
Right.
I've heard some of
I
these
actually
jokes.
I hold stand-ups in very high regard. I don't know how they do that. I don't know how I can get up there and sing in front of anybody and everybody, but getting up there and talking to people and trying to be funny, I can't. I could never do that.
And
I
some
don't
of
know how
these
they do it.
guys do it like 5 nights a week for 3 hours. I listen to
Right.
Joe Rogan a lot, and he has a lot of
Right.
comedians up there. He's a comedian himself, and he
Yeah.
talks about like Dave Chappelle can go on stage for 3 hours, 5
Right.
nights a week, and not tell the same joke twice. That's amazing.
Yeah. I
to
don't.
me. I don't.
Yeah. I don't understand that.
That's just spitting comedy out of your brain without even thinking about it.
Right.
I
I think
don't
it's like it's probably similar to the amount of times I've sang the songs I've written where they just kind of come out, without thinking about it. But I don't know. I can't. I'm terrible at talking in front of a crowd. Like some people are so witty in between songs, and they have these segues from one song to the next. I'm kind of like, hey, this next song is called blah blah blah, and I just start singing it.
Nothing else. I know. Hey, Raleigh. Yeah, how are y'all doing? Just straight to the next song. I got you, man. That's the
Yeah,
way I
every
do it.
once I'm getting a little bit better at it.
Yeah.
Like my buddy, my guitar player Doug, he and I have been playing together for 12 years, and he told me over the last 12 years I've gotten a little bit better at it. But I don't know.
What's up? What's the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of?
A few years ago we opened up for Gavin DeGraw at Red Hat Amphitheater,
Oh, okay.
which was cool. That was pretty big.
That's his song.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Watch out.
Was it Dawson's Creek or
Oh,
no
so now
One
you're
Tree
talking
Hill?
Chinese. I have no idea. I've never seen.
It was the
Dawson's
theme
Creek.
song for one of those shows. But no, that was really cool. That was my buddy Thorne with band together. He kind of hooked us up with that. That was pretty awesome.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I was living in New York City, I played on Father's Day in Central Park on a stage where it wasn't necessarily like ticketed event, but there were so many people there. It was like a sea of people just enjoying this beautiful Sunday Father's Day event.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. And my guitar stopped working halfway through the set.
Oh no.
It was terrible. My sweat just started pouring. I was like, ugh. And I was a young buck. I was not very experienced,
Mm-hmm.
and I started losing it on stage, showing my
no.
nerves.
Oh God. Well,
But that was probably the actual biggest crowd, but not for like a ticketed show.
after the show. Did you just go throw up? Just go behind the stage and just. Blah,
After the show, I think I was good because I was so glad it was over.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, I'm never doing that again.
Well, what went
I'm
through your
making sure I
mind?
have all my gear working. Just making sure I have all my gear working before I ever play another show.
Like, Jesus Christ, Michael, this
What?
is a traumatizing event in his life. Why are you trying to dig into that?
I'm
Like, he
curious,
learned from
like-
it, he grew from it. Like, chill. Like,
Look,
he's fine
right.
now. And
I
now
was-
he's going to lay awake at night thinking about it. It's
I
all
was-
going to come back.
I was going to ask Jason about the red hat and what it felt like to see all them people in front of him when he was on the stage. See, that's not traumatizing. Well, I guess it could be. Yeah. In a way.
Though, in 2007, I went on tour with Corey Smith. You guys know Corey Smith? He's
I do not.
from Georgia.
Yeah.
He's a country singer-songwriter. He's very talented too. He's one of those acts where everybody in the crowd knows every single word to his songs, but you won't necessarily hear him on the radio. And one of the bigger shows we played was at the House of Blues in North Myrtle Beach, and that was probably the first time I played in front of that many people. It was a couple thousand people, and after that, like I was so worried about how I would do in front of that many people. Once I did that, that was kind of like an icebreaker. So now I'm more comfortable playing in front of that, like Gavin DeGraw crowd, or some of these other bigger crowds we played for.
Cool. Yeah. So I was looking. You've got, is it 6 albums out? You've got 2008. You got Sunflower. 2010, Transistor. 2012, Bricks and Mortar. Where'd my list go? There we go. 2014, King of Dock Street. 2016 and Friends, and you've got a new one out. Just come out last year, The Looking Glass.
Looking Glass, yeah. So 2008 was, excuse me, kind of like the last CD I put out of just Jason Adamo before the Jason Adamo band.
Okay.
But that introduced me to not really introduced me, but I started collaborating with a guy named John Briggs, who was in a band out of Chapel Hill called Only Midnight. We always used to play kind of the same venues out in Chapel Hill, and we were kind of like, we would go check them out and they would come check us out and kind of like, who are these guys? You know, we're the band, we're supposed to be playing here. We were kind of envious of each other. And then the collaboration of Sunflower brought him into the studio, and I realized that he's so talented, not just the guitar, but he's one of those guys who plays everything: drums, bass, keys, sings harmony and all that stuff. So from 2008 to 2010, he and I kind of started this not only a friendship, but a kind of a partnership, as far as he's had something to do with every single record I put out since. Whether he was a producer or this last record, Looking Glass. I think he produced 3 albums out of the ones you listed, and the last record, Looking Glass, he sang a bunch of harmonies on, because he's got 3 kids now, and he couldn't really produce. He didn't have the time to produce this last record. But yeah, 2008 was my last kind of solo effort, and ever since then it's been my buddies in the Jason Adamo band. We got Cedric Williams, Doug Castine, John Briggs on and off again, Brandon Venable, and we had a harmonica player actually who was from Italy, and then he has since moved back to Italy, named Fabio Consani.
Of course,
he was
Fabio.
one of the
From Italy.
He was one of the original members of the band, but he moved back in 2017. But yeah, we got a lot of quite a big discography out there, and it's cool because now when we play a show, we have so many songs to choose from.
Yeah. Any of these albums right here, have they produced any like big number ones for you, or like anything popular that's been on the radio, or?
Well, around here, yeah, and there's a few songs that have been played around the country on kind of independent radio. Like Raleigh Nights was on 2010's Transistor. I wrote that with my brother Chris, who actually is a great poet, and he sent me a bunch of poetry and kind of turned this poem Raleigh Nights into a song. That was picked up by the Carolina Hurricanes, and they started playing it at their home games. Actually in 2011, 2012, they played it a lot when they lost. So my joke on stage is usually we got a lot of airplay for a couple of years.
Oh no!
Because they lost they lost a bunch those years, but it was great for us because they played the song a lot.
Yeah.
They actually ended up filming a music video for that, and then 11 years later, we're revisiting that song as it was recently added to the movie Raleigh, I Kinda Like You, which is going to have its premiere this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Rialto Theater. Raleigh, I Kinda Like You is a locally produced and filmed all over Raleigh and the Triangle area movie. It's a comedy that's going to be on Amazon Prime this summer, and we were approached to have Raleigh Nights close the movie down as the last song in the movie, which is kind of cool.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
So yeah, that song has kind of became like a fan favorite at shows. We always kind of throw that one in there, no matter what else is being played on the set list. There's a song called Foundation of 2012's Bricks and Mortar that Bob Dumas from Bob and the Showgram on G105, he and his wife really liked that song. He started playing it a lot, and I became a guest on their show a lot for a few years. So that was kind of cool. That's the one we actually toured across the country with, that Bricks and Mortar album, and Foundation was the single. We piled in an RV and we played from Richmond, Virginia down to West Palm Beach, Florida, out to Los Angeles, Austin, Texas, Chicago, and we ended it in New York City a month and a week later. So that was a very fun album to put out because we had financial backing for that, and we toured around the country on that one. There's always like some fan favorites. There's a few songs that have been played on local radio, like my version of Beautiful Believer, which was on 2016's And Friends album. That was played on QDR quite a bit.
I'm really digging that New Beginnings. I listened to that a couple of times
thanks.
today. That's a really cool song.
I appreciate that. That was we put together a little music video for that during quarantine, which was a lot of fun to do. We just kind of filmed it in our house, in our backyard and stuff. And our lead guitar player, Doug Cassine's son, is in film school, and he kind of edited it together for us. I like that song a lot. It's more of like a upbeat rocking song to play at shows. And Doug does a really tasty guitar solo in it.
We love a good tasty guitar solo. I do anyway. So question for you, Jason.
Yeah.
I would like you to take a moment and describe what you believe you would kind of classify your genre as. And then I'm going to tell you what I think, because little backstory to this. After interviewing Stephanie Lynn, and then Michael coming to me and saying, we've got Jason Adamo next week, I'm like, okay, cool. I don't love country music. So I was kind of hesitant going in and listening to you for the very first times. And I was pleasantly surprised by what I heard. So tell me how you would describe your sound, and then I'm going to tell you what I thought.
Well, I always tell this story, like this little tidbit. I grew up in Southwest Virginia, but my parents are from Brooklyn and Queens, like I said. So we didn't listen to country music growing up. I've never been a huge fan of country music, which is crazy. I've since then grown to appreciate a lot of Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash, and some great songwriters, Chris Christopherson, a bunch of great stuff. When I moved to Nashville, I was on tour in 2012, later in 2012, with a guy named Keaton Simons, and we were playing in Nashville, and he was like, "Man, you belong here in Nashville." I was like, "I do?" And he goes, "You got a little country in you." And I was like, "Do I?" And I had to think about it. You know, it kind of did find its way into my songwriting, and the way that I sing. I always thought I was more of a soul singer, like a soulful bluesy rock singer, and the country definitely did make its way in there. Just growing up in, around the Appalachian Mountains and stuff, and hearing the kind of music I did hear out and about in that part of the country. So when I moved to Nashville in 2013, I kind of embraced the idea of writing country songs. But I never really wrote country songs for myself. I wrote country songs for other people, including Brett and a few other people.
Who are the few other people?
I've always, I have a song on a record. You might not know them, but they're in the UK. They put a song I wrote with some British songwriters who were visiting Nashville. They put one of the songs we wrote in Nashville on their record when they went back to the UK. Their band called Cattle and Cane.
Okay. I was just making sure, like, you hadn't written songs for Garth Brooks or, George Strait or something.
No, unfortunately. Yeah. No, I wrote a lot of songs for people on the who were kind of coming up, or with them. I usually write with artists that write. I don't strictly write with other songwriters. I like either writing a song for myself. I'll take away the song, or they'll take it and put it on a record, one of their own records. Mm-hmm. It's a funny story about Garth Brooks. So I was in Nashville one night, and I was hanging out with this guy he came up to the stage after I played a little Songwriters in the Round show, and he gave me a compliment, and he said, "Hey man, what are you drinking?" And we split we didn't split it, but we both had like a Budweiser, and we chatted for about half an hour, and then I walked away, and my buddy who was bartending that night, he goes, "You know who you were just talking to, right?" I was like, "No clue." Because like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of country music growing up. I didn't know who wrote all these songs, but I ended up talking to Earl Bud Lee, who wrote Friends in Low Places.
Wow.
So, yeah. And he was that's how it goes in Nashville. You don't know who you're talking to, because then you'll talk to this one person, and you'll find out they wrote 6 #1 hits for this person and this person and this person, but they're not the artist. They're not the face behind the song, So that's one thing that was really cool about Nashville. But that was just a little tidbit about Garth Brooks.
Man, and I love Garth Brooks.
I was going to say, if literally anybody on the planet walked up to me and was like, "I'm a famous country artist," I'd be like, "I believe you." Sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Cheers.
Really. Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I'm starting to know a little bit more now, because I host a Homegrown show on QDR on Sunday nights. But those are all North Carolina artists who are kind of still trying to get a break in the in the business.
I want to ask you about that later on in the show.
Sure.
I think I interrupted you with Laura's question. That's what I do. I always interrupt.
Yeah, I know.
And I end up going on tangents too. You got to stop me from talking sometimes.
No, look, like the way you do like a great podcast. I mean, you interview on your show.
I wish I could. I wish I could really, because I only have a half an hour show. I usually just get them to introduce the song that I'm about to say. These are my featured artists get 2 songs on the half hour show. All the other artists just get 1. I had Stephanie Lynn in there.
Let's go ahead and talk about your show since we're there. So it's on QDR. What's that? 94.7.
94.7 on Sunday nights. 9 o'clock.
Homegrown Carolina Country. So
Homegrown Carolina Country.
Jason's got his own radio show. It's like he said, Sunday 9 to 9:30. Tell us about that show, man. What are you doing up there?
So I've actually been on that show. My songs, like Beautiful Believer, was on that show a few times, and when I think I was putting together a show at the Lincoln Theater, and I took out an ad because some of the artists from Nashville were going to be on the bill. I wanted to take out ads on a country station and then also another station, and I started talking to the music director there, and the whole Brett Young connection came up, and I said, whatever happened to that Homegrown show? And he said, oh, you want to host it? We'll bring it back. And I was like, okay. So that's kind of how I got into it. But the show is awesome for me because I've always been that guy who's dying to hear his own song on the radio. And when I give some of these people that platform to get their songs, it's 50,000 watts. So it's going, 2 or 3 hours radius of Raleigh, which is kind of cool. These people sometimes, make a post about it on Instagram or Facebook, whoa, my song's on the radio. And that really warms my heart, really makes me feel good about what I'm doing. It's a half an hour show where I'm showcasing mostly people who are trying to get their foot in the door of the business. And sometimes I'll throw in a Scotty McCreery or Luke Combs or somebody else who's from North Carolina. But it's all artists from North Carolina. So it's called the Homegrown Carolina Country Show. And 9 o'clock on Sunday nights, you'll tune in, you'll hear some great music.
How do you come up with these local artists? Are people that you've heard or or recommendations?
Oh my God, don't ask for tips on how to get guests.
Hey, shh.
Shameless.
Well, I'm still looking for tips to get guests, but there's an email. People can go to 947qdr.com and click on my show. There's a submit button to click on, and I get emails with MP3s sent to me every week, and kind of sift through those and listen to them, and which is also kind of heartbreaking sometimes, where I tell them they're not quite ready yet for the radio, or encourage them and say, hey, just get a little bit more production behind this song, and maybe we can put it on the show. But anyway, I get emails from that, but a lot of times it's word of mouth. It's like my buddy Jeremy Burns told me about Stephanie, and I think he invited her to one of our shows. Jeremy Burns is also a local Raleigh-based musician, and Stephanie came out and sang a few, and then we added each other on Facebook and stuff. Then I think I invited her on the show through Facebook or something like that. But a lot of times it's word of mouth. That's my point. And one artist usually, they'll get their song on the radio, and then one of their buddies who I don't know yet, they hear it and they're like, oh, let me do the same thing that he did or he or she did. It's all like one week kind of leads into the next week, kind of, if that makes sense, because some people they don't even know the show exists. A lot of people, until their friend's song is on the radio and they're promoting it, and they're saying, hey, tune in Sunday night, guys, you're going to hear my song. And then that friend will hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, or they'll go to that site.
Now. They will know
right
now.
There you go. I appreciate y'all spreading the word for me.
Yeah, I want to check it out, man.
Yeah, please do.
I want to see how. I'm intrigued by people that host shows, man. Podcasters, radio hosts. I like listening to the different styles, so I can steal a piece here, steal a piece there, and see if. Well,
don't listen for my style, because I'm still kind of learning as I go. It's 2 years now in June, but it's like I said, it's a 30-minute show, so I'm kind of, remember the Micro Machines guy? I'm kind of talking like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get as much info in as I can about the artists. But yeah, it's fun. It's definitely a learning experience. I've always been the guy on the other side of the microphone being interviewed by somebody, or wanting his song to be on the radio. So it's kind of cool being the guy doing the interview. And
yeah, you ever thought about doing a podcast?
I thought about it. Every year we play in Anaheim at this thing called NAMM. Have you heard of the NAMM show?
I have.
It's
not.
where like all the microphones you guys are using, the keyboards, drums, guitars, everything that has to do with the music industry, they roll them out every year, all the new products, and at this trade show in Anaheim, California. It's called NAMM, NAMM, and they also have these little classes that you can go to while you're there. And Doug Cassim, my lead guitar player, and I, we sat in this hour-long class with some pretty well-known podcasters from around the country. They did a panel, and they were just talking about how they got their start and what kind of equipment they used at the beginning, and people were able to ask them questions and stuff. And for a split second, I was like, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. And then literally that was January 2020. Uh-huh. And then COVID hit, and I was like, And then we also, we got pregnant with our second daughter, and it's something that I'm thinking about possibly doing one day again, but right now it's just too much stuff going on.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you really don't need it because you've got your music to fall back on and your songwriting. And I mean, you're pretty big around here. You got a radio show. That is a podcast right there in itself. You can just record that.
I wish it was longer. I love this format because you can get deep. You can talk about playing, Danny Zuko in Greece, and stuff like that. I wish I had a little bit longer to interview people and find out a little bit more about where the music comes from and stuff, But it's a start for me. It's definitely something brand new to me. I've never, hosted a radio show before or thought about hosting a radio show before. So it's kind of cool.
Well, one good thing about hosting your own podcast is you can come up with a game. You know what time it is, Laura?
Let's do it.
It is Hammered Trivia time.
That was easily your worst segue ever.
I want to hear, before we do that, can I hear what Laura thinks about my genre?
Oh no, I was just gonna let Michael bulldoze over that and let the world just wonder.
That was what we were talking about when I interrupted earlier.
And then I went off on a tangent.
We need to talk about this because I'm sitting here and I'm trying so hard to just shut the fuck up because I'm like, we got a show, let's keep going, right? No, this is hysterical to me. So I ask a question, Jason's answering, and he's telling a story, and then you have questions about that story. And that's fine, right? That's how we get the ball rolling here.
Yeah.
But then you acknowledge the fact that you interrupted me, and then you continued to never circle back to my point. And I thought you were joking. I'm like, is this on purpose? Like, is this a joke?
Because I forgot what your original question was, so I couldn't, that's why I was asking Jason, so I was thinking Jason was going to just pick the ball up and run with it.
Bro, you're so serial.
I guess.
And then I went off on a tangent, and I probably changed the subject and stuff. I'm terrible at that.
I think we're both at fault for this one, Jason. So, okay, Laura.
Jason,
I want to hear it.
I don't think at all that Jason is in the wrong here because he's telling a story. He's our guest, so we can hear his story. You, sir, our amazing, talented, wonderful host here. You kind of lost it on that one. Anyway, so I look up Jason Adamo on YouTube. And I'm kind of emotionally preparing myself for country music because I kind of have to do that when I'm going into a situation where I think I'm going to listen to country music. And I think the way the words you use, like soulful and bluesy, are exactly what I got from your sound. And it was so refreshing. In fact, when I got to work and I was describing your sound to a coworker, I'm like, imagine if Jeff Buckley wasn't so fucking sad all the time. And that's
awesome because he's one of the influences. We didn't get to the influences either.
And I'm listening. I listened to 4 or 5 of your songs before then your cover of Hallelujah. And I'm like, there it is. There's the Jeff Buckley that I knew was living in there. And
nice.
I guess
who else would you say? influenced, do you think? That's interesting,
I
because you,
think
you
that
nailed it with
was
Jeff Buckley.
having a really hard time putting my finger on another artist, because obviously you're not just Jeff Buckley. You have that emotion and that soul, but there's something else in there that I just couldn't quite put my finger on. I'm going to listen some more, and
Cool.
and we'll circle back to this if we don't get interrupted again.
I mean,
I
That's
have
hilarious.
to put this out there for listeners like me who are just very, very just blatantly anti-country music, and I'm going to say, you know,
Right.
give it a chance, give it a shot, because this is not country, you know, in
Right.
this very commercial radio description. I just so
That's awesome.
fell in love with the emotion and the soul that you perform with. So thank you very much for that. And I
Oh my
Thank you.
totally got why Stephanie Lynn just gushed over you for 30 minutes when we interviewed her.
okay, hold on.
Oh,
So
that's
first
awesome.
off, are you okay? Did you just have like some kind of orgasm? Because I have never seen you get so excited about one of our artists on the show before. Like never. Not even Stephanie. You are, yeah, you are just like, now you want some country albums now, or
So-
are you a
no,
country
Now-
fan?
now I
that's
am
what
blushing.
I'm saying. No, that's exactly what I don't want,
Oh,
and that's why I think it was such a big deal for me. Was when I was going in to listen to Jason Adamo, I'm like, all right, just buckle down
Well,
and
that's
listen
awesome.
to his stuff. You know, the guy's clearly very talented. I
Yeah.
just wasn't familiar with him, so it was very, not to be redundant, just refreshing and pleasantly surprising.
That's awesome. You know, one thing that I was worried about, and as a result of doing moving to Nashville, I definitely, for a few years anyway, I definitely, people do, especially with the Brett Young connection, people will make that connection, or they'll hear about that and they'll be like, oh, he's must be a, you know, Garth Brooks type country artist or something, or a Brett Young type country artist or something. And weird for me because, like I said, I didn't grow up listening to country music or playing country music, or so I thought. And I was really going for, like, there's an artist out of Boston named Martin Sexton who will play the Poorhouse or Lincoln Theater when he's passing through town almost every year, or the Cat's Cradle. But he really influenced me. He's more of like a white boy soulful kind of. There's no other way to describe it, but he's like 5'8", 5'9", and has a voice of like a giant. If you guys haven't heard his music, I heard about his music when I was living up in New York City, and I was still searching for my voice. And when I heard his music, I was like, oh, he's doing what I want to do. And then Maroon 5 came out, and I was like, oh, they're doing what I was sort of trying to do. I always loved Motown, and I always loved people who can really belt it out, like Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, stuff like that. Joe Cocker, people who, you know, I always base what I listen to off of goosebumps and like hair being raised on your arm. It's usually people who can really belt it out and really sing. And that crosses over genres and stuff, but the soul really, I don't know where it came from. We didn't listen to soul music growing up. We listened to like the Beach Boys, and my parents went to high school with Billy Joel, so we listened to a lot of Billy
That's
Joel.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah, we every time we would go up to New York every summer for a little vacation and visit family, and on the way up we would listen to all Billy Joel stuff. So, he's a great artist, and definitely influenced my songwriting. But I didn't delve into the more soulful sounds of like Stax Records or Motown or any stuff like that, or down in what is it called, Muscle Shoals, stuff like that, until later in life, in my 20s or so, and I started watching every DVD I could get my hands on and stuff, and live concerts of people like in the Motown roster and whatnot. I've always wanted to be the soulfulest singer in the room, or the soulfulest singer I could be. I think that it really goes far with the audience when you can give it as much emotion as you can, especially when I started writing songs that pertain to my life. Like Foundation I wrote that song about a divorce I was going through, and wrote subsequently 2 albums about that divorce or that marriage. And when you start writing about stuff that really hits you deep, I think it makes a deeper connection, and especially if you're putting the emotion behind the singing, it really makes that deeper connection with audience members. And I always wanted to do that. And this guy, Martin Sexton, was one of those guys who was doing that, in my opinion. Stevie Ray Vaughan, like I found out about Stevie Ray Vaughan after he'd already died. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to go see this guy in concert. This music is incredible. This guitar player is mind blowing. And then my buddy was like, oh, he died in 1990. I was like, oh shit. Oh, I need to get on this. I need to start going to see these people play, and before they all start dying.
And that, I think, was my favorite part about discovering your sound too, was, I'm very, life is short. I don't want to listen to shitty music. So I will listen to the exact same stuff that I grew up listening to, a lot of 70s, a lot of 80s, and I very rarely deviate from that. There's the occasional, top 40 pop song that I'm like, ooh, she's catchy, but very rarely do I stray outside of my very narrow genre that I listen to from a day-to-day basis. So it's very exciting for me to play something new and to truly enjoy it. True original content, something totally different from, I guess, the mainstream sound, the stuff that you hear on the radio stations, that twangy, generic country sound, or, that super tempo, upbeat techno song that I'm bored of it. So it was just exciting for me to hear something truly original, from the songwriting to just your sound. So that's awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it was awesome for me. Thank you.
Well, I'm kind of the same way when it comes to music. I was on Instagram the other day and I saw this meme that said, okay, it's Tupac is alive and he comes into your room and he asks, who name some legendary artists since 1996 that I haven't heard of. And I couldn't, I think of great songs that have come out since then, but I can't think of any legends that are currently out there that are, some people might say Ed Sheeran or somebody who's on his way to, because all these people are cranking out hit after hit after hit, which is the making of a legend, I guess. But the older stuff for me is just, you can't beat it. And the people who have sustained careers for like decades, putting out amazing music, you can't really beat that, in my opinion. And I haven't seen anything that has struck me as amazing in quite some time.
I agree with you 100, man. I mean, I'm thinking if you start in 2000, 21 years almost. I mean, who's been pumping out new stuff that came around new in the year 2000? You've got like Adele. I mean, I think she eventually
Did she start in 2000?
No, she started later, I believe.
Has she
That's somebody I thought of when I was at.
What's that?
I think she just came out with a record last year. That's one of the names that came to mind when I was thinking who's like really fantastic. Like I don't listen to his music, but Bruno Mars is extremely talented.
Yeah.
Adele is extremely talented.
Beyonce, when did she start? She didn't.
Well,
that's
back in Destiny's Child days. So
it was in the 90s, yeah.
That was 90s, right? Late 90s.
Yeah. But let's talk country artists. I mean, I like the old school 90s country. Some of that early 2000 stuff is good. But when you start getting to a little rock poppy country, I don't really like that stuff. I'm old head, man. I like the Garth Brooks, the Clint Black, George Strait, the Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, all that stuff. I like some, let me think of some new ones. Luke Bryan, I like his stuff. Eric Church. Eric Church is from North Carolina.
The kind of stuff that I like, no matter what. Yeah, Eric Church is from North Carolina, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The kind of stuff that I like, no matter if it's country or what genre, as long as there's somebody who can really, you guys said fuck, right? Somebody who can really, really fucking sing. Yeah. Somebody who can really fucking play the guitar. Like Keith Urban can play the shit out of the guitar. Brad Paisley can play the shit out of the guitar. I don't might not listen to them all the time, but I have great respect for people who can shred or like sing their balls off up on stage. Nowadays you get these artists who are backed by a lot of the time some of the same people in this other band, that if the tours line up correctly, they're on this tour and then they're on this tour with this artist. And I don't know, I just like people who, you know, whether you don't really see bands much anymore, like Pearl Jam. I loved Pearl Jam in the 90s. They're still kicking, but they can all do what they do really well, and you don't really see that much anymore. You usually see one person surrounded by either hired guns or what have you.
I
and
think
it's just,
Pearl Jam is like the only band from that grunge era that is still out. Everybody else has died. You know, I mean, like Scott Weiland died, Chris Cornell died, Lane Staley died, Kurt Cobain died. You know, Eddie Vedder's like the only one.
I know. I saw them in 2011. I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. I've always been, but I've only seen them once, and it was at Jay-Z's festival in Philadelphia, 2011.
Oh yeah,
which was crazy. So it was eclectic, a little bit of everything. And Pearl Jam headlined the first night. Jay-Z headlined the next night. But it was like a spiritual experience for me, seeing these guys play live on stage. And I was like maybe 20 rows back. It was awesome.
Did you have?
But yeah,
tickets?
I just don't.
Did you have tickets to see them? Was it like 3 or 4 years ago? They were supposed to play PNC, and North Carolina had just passed the HB2 bill, and Pearl Jam boycotted North Carolina and didn't play.
Right.
I'm
still waiting for them to come back. Yeah, me too. I didn't have great seats, but I was so excited to see. So when I saw them, I saw a festival set, which is all hits pretty much. Yeah. Which is cool because I love their hits, but I wanted to hear some of their B-sides and stuff that weren't exactly hits for them. And that's what I'm told by all my friends who are diehard Pearl Jam fans. That's what they do. They do like 3-hour shows of all of your favorite songs pretty much. So that's a band that I definitely want to see again soon.
Oh, I'd be all in for that one, man. I'd love to see Pearl Jam. Maybe they'll come back to Raleigh.
Maybe they will.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, a lot of musicians are running out of money because of COVID. Like, they got bills to pay.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, that'd be a hell of a place for you to play, man. Get out there at Walnut Creek, that amphitheater.
Man, I played the side stage a bunch over the years, but I've never been on the main stage. Yeah. I did side stage for Allman Brothers and Journey and a bunch of other people. They used to have a side stage on one side. Now they just have a VIP tent, I think, where they have kind of side music. But yeah, I was talking to the guys over at QDR when I first started playing there, or doing the show there, and that might be a perk to where I might get an opening slot there as part of a perk of working there. So
that's nice. And
then COVID hit, of course, so they haven't had shows there. But even if it's for a country act, I'll go up there. I'll put cowboy boots on and go up there and play.
Yeehaw, motherfuckers! Here I come.
I would love to play that stage.
All right, so are we ready?
Speaking of play.
Yes, let's do it.
Beat me to it. Got him. That's what you get for interrupting.
All right. Me. So that was a great segue. It's time to play Hammer Trivia. Are you ready, Laura?
We'll see. I'm not very confident because I feel like your trivia questions are all country related.
I mean, but hey, Jason might not know a lot about country. He said,
I might not.
have not one trivia question about a soul or R&B artist on this list.
You don't know that. All right, Jason. The way this works, this is Hammer Trivia. There are 6 questions. I'm going to start with you because you're our guest. These questions are based around country music. So you might have a slight advantage over Miss Laura May over here. Now, the one who answers the most questions out of 6 wins the almighty trophy.
Nice.
The Hammer Trophy.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Isn't he
cute? Something else to put in my office.
I'm very pleased. This belongs on the foyer, sir.
Look, Jason's already planning a spot for it in his office. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Question number 1. Jason Adamo is in the batter's box. Which country music star wrote and first recorded I Will Always Love You, a song which later became one of the biggest selling singles of all time for Whitney Houston? Is it A, Loretta Lynn, B. Dolly Parton, C. Krista Gale, or D. Reba?
Dolly Parton.
That is correct. Jason is on the board with 1. Did you know this?
I did know this.
Oh, see, you've got a chance.
But I promise every single question.
Did you guys know that?
I'm gonna know.
Did you guys know that Elvis was supposed to record that song?
Originally?
Yeah. Well, she was trying to get Elvis to record it, but then his manager wouldn't let him record it unless they owned it. And Dolly Parton made a very, very wise business move and denied him the ability to record it.
Oh, wow.
Wow, yeah.
No, we did not know
now
that.
she's made
Did not
millions and millions and millions off of it.
way to quiz us on Hammer Trivia.
I appreciate that.
All right. I digress. Are you ready for question number 2, Laura?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old was the first single released by which singer? Would that be Garth Brooks, George Strait, Clint Black, or the Backstreet Boys?
Well, thank you for, I guess making it a little easier.
A little easier, yeah.
I'm going to go George Strait.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. It was Garth Brooks.
Why would I know
Oh,
that?
I was going to go Clint Black. So.
Oh, wow. You could have got it wrong.
Yeah.
No way. You got Garth Brooks. I'm giving away an answer.
It's probably
All right.
yours, Jason.
Okay, so we got Jason is up 1, 2,
Okay.
0. And Jason is back up. All right, Jason, here we go. Which singer, known as the King of Country, won a Grammy in 2009 for his album Troubadour?
Wow.
I know. Was it
2009?
2009? Was it Garth
Okay.
Brooks, George Strait, Toby Keith, or George Jones? I kind of made this one easy, too.
See, I don't know country music that well. I'm going to just guess. Did you say George Jones?
I did say George Jones.
Okay, I'm going to go with George Jones.
Ooh.
Were you about to say Garth Brooks earlier? Is that the giveaway?
It's the choices are Garth Brooks, George Strait, Toby Keith, and George Jones.
Oh, it's the one you gave away, Garth
Yes,
Brooks.
but I kind of didn't either. But
You
I want the
gave
trophy.
it all
I want the
way
trophy.
away.
but I want to say George Jones passed a long time ago. I think.
I can't remember when he passed.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking. 2009.
It wasn't George. It was George Strait.
Oh,
In
okay.
2009. I don't even know if I've heard that album. That's I like George Strait, but I've never heard Troubadour. But with that wrong answer, you're back in it. You've got a chance to tie Jason right now. With question number 4. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
You should get this one. Yeah. Which influential country singer-songwriter died at the age of just 29 while being driven to perform a concert in Ohio on New Year's Day in 1953? Was it A, Henry Holden, B, William Capel, C, Hank Williams, or D, Daniel Gregory Mason?
I honestly was like, isn't that how Jeff Buckley died?
I
mean, he's
maybe, but not in 1953, probably.
Pretty sure Jeff Buckley died in a car accident on his way to a concert.
Oh, tell me you know this. Like, just from name recognition alone.
I don't know who any of
Hey, I
these
didn't
people
get
are.
hints. I didn't get hints.
She's still going to get this wrong. Watch.
Okay, give me the names again.
I don't know if I can give them to you again after I kind of gave you a hint.
I promise I missed the hint entirely.
All right. So, Henry Holden, William Capel, Hank Williams, Daniel Gregory Mason.
Hank Williams.
That is
Ding, ding,
right.
ding, 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 ding.
Okay. Okay, yay.
So all these other people...
I can tell you. Side note: Jeff Buckley drowned in the Mississippi River.
There we go.
Due to a car accident, right? Or am I dreaming
No.
that?
He was swimming. He was waiting for his band to fly in for a recording session, and he took a dip in the Mississippi, which is like very muddy and very dangerous, and he drowned.
Ooh,
Wow.
that's a hell of a way to
Boy,
go.
I got that wrong.
He was listening to Led Zeppelin
Mud.
on a boombox.
I mean, if you got to go,
Wait, he
you
was
know.
listening to Zeppelin on a boombox?
while you're drowning in the Mississippi.
Oh,
If that's how I gotta go, it's not the worst.
I wonder, was it Stairway to Heaven he was listening to?
That would be ironic.
Oh,
That would be crazy.
Painfully
Yeah,
morbid.
it was in Memphis, Tennessee, actually.
oh wow. All right, I kind of feel bad because I did give you a hint on that one. So
I need hints from here on out.
Did
All right,
you not
I think
also
Jason
give
gets
Jason
the-
a hint on his second question?
No, I didn't.
I feel
No.
like you did.
All right, Jason, it's tied up. Your chance to
Okay.
regain the lead here. Which singer, who has won more Grammy Awards than any other male country music artist, was hired by the Eagles in 2017 following the death of Glenn Frey?
Oh, I know this.
Was it
I saw him play.
Vince Gill?
Oh, Vince Gill.
Jason knew it right out the bat.
Woo!
Woo! Didn't even have to name off these other ones.
Because I was going to say he also plays the shit out of the guitar.
Yeah, and he's got like the only voice that I could see being with the Eagles. Like the other ones
Yeah.
with Dwight Yoakam, Tracy Lawrence, and Neil McCoy. I don't
Okay.
think- yeah. Jason's back
Yeah,
up.
he.
Two.
I saw them play at the PNC a few years ago, and he was up there, and they got Glenn Frey's son was also playing and singing.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never seen the Eagles, but I really am a big fan of the Eagles. And this is a little small fact, I guess.
Oh, I know
until
exactly
Laura-
which one.
Until Laura explained it to me, I had no idea that Hotel California was a song about a haunted hotel, and was probably
Oh yeah,
one of the American Horror Story seasons was based after it.
right.
Yeah, thanks, Laura.
Did
I
you?
mean, this was only like a couple months ago. He comes like busting into the house. He's like, "Did you know that Hotel California is a ghost story?" And I'm like, "Everyone knows."
I recently found out.
Don't make him feel
okay,
better.
yeah, thanks.
Nice try, Jason.
I don't feel so bad now. Thanks a lot.
You
Jason.
don't.
No.
You don't have
Stick
to.
with this a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine. He'll be okay.
All right, moving right along because you have a chance to tie right now, Laura. Okay,
Okay.
this is question 6.
Okay.
You get this wrong, Jason wins. You get it right, we tie, and we go into question 7. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right.
Suspenseful.
Who rose to fame with their debut single, She's in Love with the Boy, in 1991? All right. You know this song, Jason?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Would you like me to sing a little snippet of it?
No.
Yes.
You sure?
No. Why don't you just give me the
She's in love
choices?
with the boy.
Wow.
Thank you. All right. So was it A, Shania Twain, B, Reba, C, Trisha Yearwood, or D, Deanna Carter?
Okay. Read me the question again.
Who rose to fame with their debut single, She's in Love with the Boy, in 1991? Do not look at Jason.
I'm not looking at Jason. I was trying to remember what
Oh.
year you said. I feel like that's helpful.
1991. She's in love with the boy.
Okay. Shania Twain.
So far away from the right answer. Oh no, Laura, you had a chance. Jason put C up on the camera, trying to give you a
I'm
hint.
not cheating.
It was Trisha Yearwood.
I was going to give a hint
Oh, no.
too, because she's married to Garth, right?
Yeah, she is. She is married to Garth. Yep.
This is all news to me.
You know what? I was so confident you were going to win, Jason. I didn't even make a question 7.
Wow.
I
Nice.
felt no need for it at all. Congratulations, Jason. You have this awesome little trophy here. We will
Perfect.
be getting
I
this
love
to
it.
you somewhere. And,
Put your name on it.
hopefully you can put it right
Nice.
beside your platinum albums. You know,
I'm going to. It's going to be on my desk.
prominently displayed. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
I'm sorry, Laura.
No, it's quite all right. I knew what was coming for me this evening. I humbly accept my defeat.
she's used
But
to
I don't
catching
know.
you.
I don't know country music that well, so that was tough.
Okay, first of all, you keep setting me up, bro, okay? Every single tiebreaker question in the last, 4 weeks running, I knew the answer to.
Well, we didn't even have to go to that one this week.
Clearly. You know what? You are fucked the day I make the trivia questions. Let me tell you, bro. I'm going to have a big old body of lube sitting here on the table
Oh my God, this is
because you are going to
PG-13,
get
Laura.
so Fox the day I make the trivia questions. It's coming.
Jason, I've offered her the chance to host, and she does not want to host the show once. So
okay,
maybe
you should.
You're such a liar.
Anyway,
He's just scared because he'll know I'll do a better job.
I don't want to fire myself. Damn. But Jason, so if anybody wants to see you, you got any events going on? I do know you mentioned something earlier offline with me. You're going to be playing at the Durham Bulls game before the first pitch. When is that? Tell us about that.
That is, I think I sent you the dates, so I should know this. June 3rd and July 22nd.
Okay.
We're doing Bands at the Ballpark, part of Durham Bulls' promotional shtick, I guess they got going on. And we'll be playing out in front of the ballpark as people are filtering into the stadium, both of those games right before the first pitch. So essentially, you don't even have to have a ticket, I guess. You can just come check us out. The whole band will be there right before the game. I was going to tell you a little bit of something interesting that I didn't message you about earlier.
Oh, go ahead.
This Sunday, I'm flying out to Vegas, and I'm going to be hanging out with and collaborating with Wanya Morris from Boyz II Men.
Okay.
So that's something I'm excited about. That's a whole nother story. I don't know how much time we have, but the last 4 months.
Man, you tell us about it.
It's cool.
I'm like, this is a big deal. I feel like we can extend the podcast for a few minutes to hear this one.
Let's do it.
Okay, it's going to be a long story short, if I can make it short. Back in November, I was just so Brett. Here's a kind of the story of how I got into this singing competition that led to this trip to Las Vegas. Brett Young, a friend of mine, he did CMT's Crossroads. Have you guys ever seen one of those where they pair a country artist with a non-country artist and they do each other's songs?
No, I haven't seen
anyway, it's pretty cool. And I watched it for the first time because Brett was on it and I wanted to check it out. And Brett was paired up with Boyz II Men. So they did Motown Philly and I'll Make Love to You and those songs. And then they also did some of Brett's songs. And I was like, man, let me check out to see what the guys in Boyz II Men are up to online. And I was on Instagram and I followed Wanya Morris. And the same night that I followed him, he went live and he started doing this online singing competition. And I was like, what the hell? Let me submit my information. And I reached out to his wife, who was kind of accepting the auditions, whatever, through Instagram. And I just mentioned my connection to Brett and the fact that I wrote a song with him and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting in my room and it's pitch dark and I'm watching this on Instagram with headphones in. And I get a call from Wanya Morris on Instagram. He wants to put me up on screen. And so I'm running downstairs because I have a sleeping 2-year-old in the other room. And I'm getting ready to sing for one of my idols growing up. I loved their music growing up. And I went downstairs and I did Hallelujah, Jeff Buckley's version. And he put me on his talent show, his little Instagram singing competition. Out of like 65 contestants, I've made it to the semifinals. And I did Foundation. And I did a song I wrote called Tennessee, which was cool. It was one of the only contestants doing original material, which was fun. And I also he made me sing a couple of songs. If you don't know me by now, you'll never, never, never know me. He chose that song for me, which was kind of cool because it was in the same vein as the soulful music I was listening to growing up. But anywho, he invited all the finalists and all the semifinalists out to Vegas for 3 days to do collaboration, songwriting, studio time, hang at his house and do some other couple of planned events that they have. So it's pretty crazy.
That's going to be a good time, bro.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. There's some super, super talented people that are going to be out there. So I'm excited about collaborating with them too.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you might actually meet somebody else. I'm sure Boyz II Men, probably won't be the most prominent people out there. You might have some other people come in to surprise you all.
Yeah, he's going to have a few producer friends and people out there. But some of these artists that were on the competition, they have like the blue check mark and like 100,000 followers on Instagram just for singing online and stuff. So it was pretty intimidating being amongst some of these incredible singers. But I'm excited because I'm the songwriter, one of the songwriters in the group, and I want to be paired with some of these people and, you know, try to record some more songs with them. So,
You mean you don't have 100,000 followers on Instagram?
far from it, my friend.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, don't mind if I do.
Please, please follow me.
One more. I got
One
you.
more away from it.
I appreciate it. Are you guys are on Instagram? I'm going to follow you back.
Yeah, man. Hammered Podcast at Hammered Podcast on Instagram. Yeah, well, maybe after this Vegas thing, man, your followers will shoot right up. You know?
We'll see. I'm really in it to try to get a cut or two on people's records. So
Okay.
if I can write a song with Wanye, that'd be incredible.
Well, good luck with that, and you're going to have to check back in with the show when you get back, man, later on in the year. And
I will, definitely.
Yeah, we do need to do
Definitely.
a Where Are They Now reunion Hammered podcast. So in a year, Jason's not even going to have time for us.
He's going to be big time, man.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
right.
like, wait, who's his manager? I promise we know him.
There was this on jasonadamo.com. If you click on his bio section and you read down, there is a little quote from the Aquarium. What is the Aquarium? Is that a magazine or something? Or
That was it's kind of like the Independent Weekly in Raleigh, but that's up in New Jersey.
Yeah, this is up in New Jersey, and they have a pretty good quote here. So North Carolina is no slouch when it comes to producing great songwriters and musicians. Performers such as Ryan Adams, Tori Amos, Ben Folds, Eric Church, and Mitch Easter are just a few of the top acts that have rolled out of the great state. And while Jason Adamo hasn't reached some of the notoriety as these folks have, he is well on his way to becoming a member of those musical household names. So.
Oh yeah, that was cool when they wrote that. That was 2011 or so, and I'm pretty sure I'm not a household name yet, but.
But what is it like just knowing your name is nestled among the talent in that paragraph? Like, what do you feel when you hear that? That
was pretty awesome, hearing that, or reading that rather, and that's one reason it's on the on the website probably. But yeah, it's there's a lot of great talent that has come out of North Carolina. Some of my friends, Delta Ray out of Durham, and a couple of like American Aquarium, they're all doing some big things around the country, and it's cool to be able to call them friends. You know, it's a very talented state that we live in, for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, Scotty McCreery, you know, won like American Idol. That's one thing I wanted to ask you. So, have you ever tried out for any of these shows, like talent shows, like American Idol, The Voice, any of those? Has it ever crossed your mind?
I've actually had a few friends on The Voice, and one of those buddies introduced me to the casting agency that does that show, and I flew up to New York in 2015 and had an audition for the producers of the show, and I signed all the paperwork to be on the show. They filmed like a half an hour interview, kind of like what we're doing here, about my musical career or my influences and all that stuff. And I don't know what happened to that tape, because I ended up not being on the show. Because it's kind of like a casting situation where they might have had somebody who kind of looks like me or sounded like me, and they went with somebody else instead of me. But the a few friends of mine from Nashville and New York have been on there, and they kind of told me not to do it. And I still went for it anyway. Yeah. But it didn't really do much for their career. One friend of mine, I won't say who it is, but he was signed to a label through the show, and the record didn't go anywhere, and they didn't really promote it right, and he had a really bad experience with it. So I'm kind of glad it didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
That was in 2015.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, that was in 2015, and I haven't thought about doing it again since. So
I was going to say, if you look at it, man, any of these people that won American Idol, minus Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, maybe Daughtry, he didn't even win, I don't think, but only a handful of these people become famous, you know, after American Idol. A lot of them just, you know, you never hear of them again. So, you know, if you're talented, you're gonna.
I saw this one quote on Facebook a few years ago when this another artist from Nashville was like, yeah, have you heard what happened to the last winner of The Voice? He's an Uber driver in Nashville now. Like there's not a whole lot.
Like
That's a great story.
Uber drivers in Nashville are making a killing. As someone who has been to Nashville, to be honest, I didn't love it. That main drag, is it Broadway?
You're right.
So my best friend from high school moved out there, and it's 8-hour drive from Raleigh. So I'm like, I gotta come see you. I've never been to Nashville. I don't think I had even ever been to Tennessee at that point. So I drive out there, and we go down Broadway. We're like, okay, what's up? And like, he had been in Nashville for like a week at that point, so he had no idea either. And I was so excited for the live music aspect until we get there. And it's just bar after bar after bar. And these poor musicians are just doing everything they can to be the loudest musician on the block. And it was so annoying. It was just cacophonous. Right. It gave me a headache. Yeah. We walked all the way to the end of Broadway, right across from, I guess it was the Hard Rock Cafe. And it was finally somewhere quiet. And I'm like, okay, cool, there's nobody playing down here. And, that was honestly very disappointing for me. The most entertaining part of Nashville were all of the bachelorette parties, but I wanted it to be the music, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, like when my friends would come visit me in Nashville, I would take them down to Broadway. I would take them to this place called Robert's, which was kind of the best honky tonk in my opinion on Broadway. And it played old Merle Haggard kind of stuff, and had an upright bass and a guy who played the shit out of the guitar. And it was usually a trio up on stage, and they weren't doing like Journey and Wagon Wheel and all these other songs that everybody in the country is playing, which was disappointing when I went down to Broadway for the first time. It was like, oh, they're all just playing the same songs that people are playing in Raleigh for the most part, cover bands. But when I was living there, I sought out and found some really cool little hole-in-the-wall venues that played featured some incredible musicians, people who have gone on to big things and stuff. Back in 2013, 2014, when I was living there, they were just playing in a little songwriter's room way off the strip, There's if you seek it out, there's some unbelievable talent in and around Nashville, away from, there's some great talent on Broadway, don't get me wrong, but they're just, like you said, playing extremely loud, and alcohol fueled stage shows where there's bachelorette parties screaming "Play Journey" in front of their, right in front of the stage, then drumming up after they
so embarrassing. Man, I feel so bad for every artist there that night, and I was only there for a weekend, so one day I'll make it back there and kind of venture outside of the heart of Nashville. But I was pretty disappointed that the music I could hear, I didn't want to hear. It was just a headache.
Yeah. Like I was in basically 12 South area. There was this little pizza joint that had some incredible players in there. And one night I saw this pedal steel player, and my buddy was like, oh, that's Ryan Adams's pedal steel player. When they're not on tour, they're in Nashville recording and playing little pizza shops. It's crazy. But the city's just full of fun. It's fun trying to seek out some really good stuff. For me, it was. Like Broadway was fun for certain like relatives visiting me, and that's what they wanted to go do. Mm-hmm. And I would give into that and go down there and get drunk and have fun. But
what's your beverage of choice?
Jameson Irish whiskey.
Jameson. Okay.
Yeah,
I had Jack.
Pretty much all I drink.
Well, we had Jack. I had Jack a couple of nights ago, and the next day, man, oh my God, heartburn was killing me.
I was gonna say there was no weed drinking, Jack, sir. You drank it all.
I'm not proud of that, but I don't believe in wasting.
Yeah, actually, unfortunately, I'm a terrible influence on all my band members and all the guys who played music with me over the years. They're all big fans of Jameson now.
Oh, okay. Well, Jameson's not bad. You can't go wrong with Jameson.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a disservice whatsoever.
Look, before I let you go, because I know we're having a great time with you. I don't want to keep you up all night. But I got 2 questions I want to ask. These are very important questions. Okay, first, what's your favorite food?
Ooh, favorite food. Well, Adamo is Italian, and I love Italian food. So pretty much any Italian dish. More of like the traditional stuff like baked ziti and stuff like that.
Okay.
Lasagna,
Do you consider chicken Alfredo an Italian dish?
I don't think I've ever even had it.
That's enough for me right there. We were talking to an Italian the other day that came straight from Milan, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, they don't even sell that in Italy.
Right.
Like, it's not an Italian thing. Like if you mention that in Italy, it's like, why you got that face?
I'm just baffled, like
What?
how we just had this amazing conversation around music for like an hour and a half now, and you're just like, do you like chicken Alfredo, bro?
Hey, I love food. Don't get me wrong.
Hey.
This is great.
I mean, same. I love good Italian food, but why?
Did you miss the part where I was like, this is very important, Jason, I need to ask you this. Do you like chicken wings?
I do.
I mean, I heard something today that struck me in the heart. There's a chicken wing shortage. So
Really?
Yeah, so chicken wing places are going to start raising prices and no more specials.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a question. Okay, chickens,
Okay.
anatomically speaking, have 2 wings, right?
Yes.
So if we have a chicken wing shortage, are we not also facing just a chicken shortage?
That's what you would think.
So what's happening to the rest of the chickens that we're butchering for the wings?
I think a lot more people eat wings, though, than they do thighs and breasts.
Okay, that's the question I'm asking.
yeah.
What happens to the rest of the chicken?
It goes to chicken Alfredo. Well, I don't know. I mean,
I can't. Okay.
Now I'm hungry. Thanks, guys.
I know, right? I definitely need some wings.
Y'all go get you a snack.
Okay, Jason, my last question. All right. If you could bring back anyone, okay, past, present, or future, who would you like to perform with on stage?
Oh, perform with.
Yeah.
Ooh, like singing with them on stage?
Singing
Or
with
opening
them on
up for them,
stage?
or?
Yeah. Or they could be playing the guitar for you.
One of my big influences I didn't even mention is Elvis Presley, and my dog, may he rest in peace, that died a couple years ago at 13. His name was Elvis, and huge Elvis fan. So, like, if you ask me anything about Elvis, I can tell you the answer. So that would be.
Well,
Yeah, ask me. Go
you
ahead,
should have
shoot.
known that for trivia. I
Damn it.
might have known something about Elvis. I don't know. I might have had a fighting chance.
I'm sitting here trying to think of a question I can ask Jason, and I can't come up with anything.
I'll know the answer to it.
Favorite Elvis movie?
Oh, for me,
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them are terrible. So his earlier stuff where where he actually thought he had a fighting chance of being like a good actor, and not his man. It's a long story, but his manager didn't let him choose his roles and stuff like that, and he had to sing in all of his fucking movies. But Love Me Tender is a pretty decent. I think it's his debut. Yeah. See, I just told you I knew everything about it.
Isn't there like one called Blue Hawaii too, or is that a song?
Blue Hawaii. That's one of his movies after the military when he made his comeback.
Blue Hawaii.
Yeah, Love Me Tender is one of his early ones. They still had him sing in it, which he hated, but he does some pretty decent acting in it.
Oh well, there you go, Laura. You're gonna have to add that to your list.
I mean, something about this really doesn't surprise me because, obviously your influences are very bluesy, very soulful, but there's also like a hint of that Southern rock in there that Elvis also had like a hint of. So while he was also very
Oh,
bluesy,
yeah.
kind of swingy, very soulful. There was also some of that Southern rock influence. I'm not going to call it country because I feel like Southern rock and country are two very different genres.
Right.
And honestly, totally unrelated too, I think. But that makes sense. I like
Well,
that
he
for
started
you.
rockabilly, he's considered the guy who, he didn't really do it, but he's called the guy who invented rock and roll with That's All Right Mama, which is a blues song that he re-recorded. But he was playing, he was in Memphis, obviously, and playing down south in his early career and playing all rockabilly stuff. So he definitely was raised on country and gospel music. And that's what kind of made him stick out, was he was a white guy doing kind of like bluesier gospel stuff when nobody else was doing it.
Shaking his ass too. Everybody's like, bring the camera up, bring the camera up.
Oh my God, he wasn't
Shaking
shaking
his
his
little bit.
ass.
He was moving his hips, and women were going crazy.
Yeah, no one was looking at
Oh,
his
yeah.
You
ass.
seen the Ed Sullivan show? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah, he was
No,
he
go
was
ahead.
the shit for me. No, I was just saying he was one of the, that's one reason I picked up the guitar, really, was I saw him on all those cheesy movies. I was like, oh, that's how you get girls. Okay, I'm going to get a guitar and
So, what's your favorite
start singing like
Elvis
him.
song to sing?
Ooh, one to sing that I can perform. It's probably Blue Moon, you saw me standing alone.
I love
It's
that
up when he
song.
was when he was
We're listening
really
to
young.
Jason.
When he was really young, he put that on one of his first Sun records, and he has a wicked falsetto in that song. If you haven't heard his version of it, but I don't really perform that one much, but that's one that I would choose for sure.
Good stuff. Just curious.
Man, I want to
Yeah.
see you live now, man. I can't.
Come on out.
I want to. Where can we come? Tell everybody where they can come see you play, man.
Let's see. Let me pull it up.
All right.
Did you ever notice how many Elvis songs have the color blue?
Blue suede shoes,
That's true.
Blue Moon,
Blue Christmas.
Blue Hawaii.
Blue Christmas is a great one. This Saturday at North Hills Farmers Market,
Okay.
I will be playing at
Ooh.
10 a.m. If you guys get up and want to come buy veggies and listen to me sing.
That sounds like
Um,
my ideal Saturday.
I mean, it really does.
And I mean, honestly, he's kidding. I'm not.
Come on out.
There's nothing
It's
I
North
love
Hills Farmers
more than
Market.
buying veggies and listening to Jason Adamo.
Yeah.
There you go. And there's usually like a food truck there. It's right in front of the movie theater there at North Hills. 10 a.m. to noon, I'm playing music.
Oh, okay.
That's
where they have the Summer Beach Music Festival thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on out. It's this Saturday at 10 a.m. And then later that night, my buddy Joel Close. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of Joel Close. He's another musician in the Raleigh area. He's moving back to Michigan, and he invited me to sit in on his gig at Wakefield Tavern in North Raleigh.
Okay.
Saturday night at 7 o'clock. So I'm doing two shows Saturday. 10 a.m. to noon at North Hills Farmers Market. It's called Midtown Farmers Market. And then Wakefield Tavern at 7 o'clock with Joel Close.
Awesome, man.
Sounds like we have a busy Saturday for us.
I mean, I wouldn't mind.
I need to get that trophy, so come on out.
I know
bring
we
the
owe
little
the
trophy.
man a trophy, so I mean, I will hand deliver it at the farmers market personally.
Nice.
Hey, Jason, man. Hey,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for being a sport, coming on the show and having fun
Yeah.
with us, man. This has been it's been a fun show. I've had a good time on this.
Yeah, same here. Had a blast for sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys having me.
So, everybody, you can check Jason out at jasonadamo.com. You've got on Sunday nights from 9 to 9:30. Check out Jason on Homegrown Country. That's the show?
Homegrown Carolina Country.
Homegrown Carolina Country on 94.7 WQDR. Have I got that radio voice
Yep.
down? Should.
I mean, that was pretty
That's
good,
it.
not gonna lie.
That was.
All right. Hey, thanks again, Jason, for being on Hammered. Hey, do you mind if I end the show with one of your songs?
No, go for it. Which one are you going to play?
I'm going to play New Beginning. If
Perfect.
that's cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Can I make a suggestion?
I mean, I'm playing New Beginning, so go ahead.
But there was also Purple Sky where he was recording in his shower. So
Oh my God!
it's not
Hey,
nearly
you
as
need to take a cold shower.
it's not nearly as suggestive as it sounds. It's just the bathroom has really great acoustics, and he took advantage of that. So
Exactly.
I thought that was beautiful.
All right.
There's a cool story behind that too. I'll tell you next time.
Next time. We'll
We're
save
gonna
that
come
and
in
we'll
for
play it
round
on the
two.
next time. All right, everybody.
Nice.
You've been watching and listening to Hammer. Thanks, Laura, for coming in again.
Thank you.
And I'm your host, Mike.
Thank you,
and we'll see
guys.
you next time on Hammer. Peace.
Bye.
I can hear the wind chimes ringing. I can feel this dark night sinking into the depths of my memory. Dreaming of a hot sun shining off a lonely river winding round the corner from the place where I used to live. Now it's like a new beginning, feeling like the whole world's spinning, and I know that I will never be the same. It was like a time bomb ticking, changed it all in just 1 minute. I was making my way to you, into a new beginning, into a new beginning. I remember always being the kid you would find daydreaming, still learning how to live a certain way. And now with every new day rising, this life has a funny way of finding two lost souls just looking to be found. Now it's like a new beginning, feeling like the whole world's spinning, and I know that I will never be the same. It was like a time bomb ticking, changed it all in just 1 minute. I was making my way to you, into a new beginning, into a new beginning. But we see the sun still shining. Oh, life has a funny way of finding you just when you were looking to be found. Now it's like a new beginning, feeling like the whole world's spinning, and I know that I will never be the same. It was like a time bomb ticking, changed it all in just 1 minute. I was making my way to you, into a new